You're listening to Inside Real Estate with Irv Tremblay on Newstalk 980.
Welcome to Inside Real Estate. Irv Tremblay from Irv Tremblay Realty. Century 21 sitting across from me right now. We're just enjoying a cup of coffee, talking about real estate and advice for buyers and sellers in Regina and area. Now, last time we talked, Irv, a couple of weeks ago, your advice to sellers was don't sell unless you absolutely had to, because that's the shape the market was in. So how are we doing this week? Are we kind of in the same situation, or are things heating up a little bit?
Same situation. I don't think much has changed in the last 2 weeks,
Okay.
other than the weather is a lot better.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps the market. We're still sitting in Regina proper 700 plus listings. You know, I don't think things will change for sellers until we get back down to 500, or less than 500. So we're sitting at a little over 700 listings. We've had about 23 or 24 sales so far, which, isn't that good. We've had about 30 sales, but a lot of those sales would be carryovers from last month. So the market hasn't changed. And what that means for sellers is that the buyers think it's a buyer's market. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of choices. No matter where you're priced, what I see is buyers write low offers.
Right.
You can have your home adjusted for the market, or have just come on the market and your agent's done a great job in guiding you to price. It just seems that agents and their buyers come in and they don't really present. They fax you low offers based on nothing. I had one the other day, and it was interesting. We had priced the house for the market extremely well, just came on the market, great house. The agent faxes me an offer well below asking.
Really?
Really, happens all the time.
Okay.
And so I said to the agent, I called the agent on the phone, and I said, I really appreciate the offer, and, the conditions are good and the terms are good. I'm going to get a question from my seller as to where you and your buyer are coming from on price. I said, I don't see any comparable sales, and you haven't asked to present the offer. Where are you coming from in price? The agent said to me, well, just like all buyers, they tell you what to write, and you write it, and that's it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, isn't there some guidance by the buyer's agent saying maybe this isn't your best negotiation strategy to get the home of your dreams? The other real problem with that is buyers seem to think that they can do this and negotiate back and forth, but often if a house is priced right, even when the market's a bit soft, you can end up competing and losing that house. So you have to be a little careful. Okay. So buyers, shouldn't automatically think that you can come in low. Conversely, sellers shouldn't think that they should automatically counter. They should pay close attention to that feedback they should have been getting from their agent, mm-hmm. what people thought of their price, condition, all of those things. And if that, half the battle these days is getting an offer, not so much being exactly where we are for price. It's a struggle getting an offer. So look at that, and if it's within the range, you might want to consider taking it.
So sellers be warned, it's a buyer's market.
It is.
Now, it's funny we're talking about this, and buyers market and buyers selling and stuff. In my neighborhood, I live in the east end of the city, and there's a lot of signs on lawns for sale by owner. And I'm curious to get your feedback on this because, my initial reaction is, well, this seems like a great idea because the seller is going to, save a bunch of money on commission. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, they'll only save a bunch of money on commission if they can sell that house at the same price as a great agent off the MLS system. And statistics show, and those statistics have shown for a long time, even after you pay commission, a top agent on the MLS in North America, and NAR in the States keeps very close numbers on this, you will net 1 to 1.5 to 2% more after you've paid out the commission.
Are you serious?
Very serious. There'd be no reason for anybody to ever hire me unless there was a financial advantage. So people don't, call me up and hire me. unless they can see that there's a financial advantage, and it's proven. Top agents on the MLS system will net you, after you pay commission, 1 to 2% more, because there would be no point. So it's a good strategy for sale by owner, and of course I'm not knocking how they think.
Right.
They basically, their mindset is that, I'm going to sell the house for the same amount of money as Irv is. Well, that just rarely happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen,
Right.
but it rarely happens.
Well, I suppose you have access to information that they just don't. Like, for instance, what do you charge for a house in this market, in this area, and wherever they are in the city? But, the owner may not.
Well, owners, when it comes to pricing, and that's a real problem, when it comes to pricing, they're really all over the map in pricing.
Right.
Because typically they don't want to spend the money or hire an agent, and so they often don't want to spend money on anything, and they won't hire an appraiser to guide them at price. For sale by owners get their prices everywhere. I've dealt with for sale by owners now for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's daily, 5 days a week, that I talk to for sale by owners, and I understand them, and I'm talking to them because I want to help them sell their homes. So I know how they think, and if you don't know how they think, you're not going to be able to help them. So when it comes to pricing, basically they don't step up to the plate and get a professional appraisal or
Right.
two. They usually call 3 unsuspecting agents to come out and give them a price. And most of the time, those agents are not trained well enough to ask questions like, are you going to list the house with me when I come out?
Which seems like it should be the number one
It's
question.
a good
right?
question.
Yeah.
Rarely do they ask that.
Yeah.
Often they're frightened by the answer. Well, of course I'm not. Well, they don't know how to handle that at that point. So they'll call up 3 agents and say, I'm thinking about listing my house. Can you come out? Oh boy, agents get excited about
Yeah.
that. So they run out and they give them a price. Now, often those agents don't do a very good job on pricing. They're not sure that they're going to get the listing. They don't want to scare the seller off, and sometimes they're not as accurate at pricing the house as they should be, and often you get high market evaluations, especially in a market like this. So they'll have 3 agents out to give them a price.
Right.
So they think they've got it cased,
Sure.
and they've got the price. Now I'm going to do it on my own. And instead of getting an appraisal. The other way that they get prices is based on what they have in the house, what's invested.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving to Vancouver, and they have to pay a lot for a house there, believe it or not, so they think they should ask more here.
Well, that seems like it makes sense, right? Not so much.
So for sale by owners get their price in a variety of ways, and they don't have the same expertise as an agent has in pricing. Often they'll also price based on, I hear them say to me all the time, that they've done good research. Well, most of that research is on asking prices and not sold prices. Often, the neighbor down the way was asking $350,000.
Right.
Little do they know they sold it for $310,000. So they priced their house at $350,000.
Of course.
So they're not very accurate in pricing.
We've talked a lot about for sale by owner. If you hang on for a few moments, we're going to come back and talk about buying a home without an agent. You're listening to Irv Tremblay, Inside Real Estate. Irv Tremblay Realty, Inc. Turn the key. Call Irv today at 790-3753. Check out the great information as well on Irv's website at irvsells.ca. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Inside Real Estate with Irv Tremblay on Newstalk 980.